can't really read my handwriting, but it looks like it's something called red, white, and drunk all over, but that can't be.
That can't be it.
Surprise.
No. Yeah, exactly. It's supposed to, in polite circles, have the meaning that I was drinking in many regions, wine regions. But as you've probably discovered, I do like to drink. And so I think that, too, that it's good to acknowledge that wine actually has alcohol in it. And that, you know, there's a reason we don't have orange juice critics. We're drawn to the buzz as much as, I think, the hedonism and the sensory pleasure and the rose petals and the arcs of tar and whatever else you're getting out of your glass. I think there's a real draw to it because it has so many facets, including the booze.
You know, these days a good CD and an okay bottle of wine, well, an okay CD and an okay bottle of wine these days cost about the same amount.
Yes.
Yet you go into the record store and no one goes, this is the area, this is the recording studio this was done in. The backup musicians of this, there's a little hint of cherry in the oboe playing. Nobody does that. But with a bottle of wine,
that can be a good thing or a bad thing. It's a bad thing if it keeps people away from wine, intimidated by it, or it's just too fussy for what should be a simple purchase, especially at 10, 20 bucks or whatever. You just want a glass, you know, good glass of wine with dinner. It's a good thing for those who are looking for more information and are fascinated by the subject and want to dig deeper and all that sort of thing. But it's really very much double-edged, two-edged sword.
Now, one of the reasons people talk about wine is because people talk about wine. And it sort of perpetuates itself.
It does. It does.
And you talk about two critics who have sort of different philosophies.
Yeah.
Robert
Parker and Jancis Robinson. Yeah, they got into quite a feud, actually, a transatlantic feud. Robert Parker is based in Maryland, Baltimore, in the States, and Jancis Robinson is from London, England. And what was interesting about the debate, it was over one bottle of wine from Bordeaux, which Jancis rated 12 out of 20, and other critics said you need a brain and a palate transplant to like this wine. Meanwhile, Robert Parker said it was made by perfectionists and rated it 96 to 100 out of 100.
And he's got a lot of pull.
He's got a lot of pull. They say in the business, a wine he rates 80 or under can't be sold because people think it's inferior. A wine rated 90 or above can't be bought because it sells out too quickly. There's too much demand. He moves the wine market. He's very powerful. Jancis has more of a following over in Europe and Britain, is more of a writer, whereas Parker is the critic. And so this debate really crystallized the difference in roles, their roles, writer versus critic, but also the difference in palates, what the old world European Brits like, what we like over here in North America, and also the fundamental difference of what should wine be. Should wine come from the soil, the place it's made, or should it sprout out from a marketing plan with a slick label and be consistent in the way some fast food joints are?
You come down your own little thing,
yes.
Page 217.
Oh, very good.
First and foremost, drink what you like. Think of wine like clothing. Most of us choose it based on comfort, not fashion.
Yes, absolutely. Drink what you like. I mean, I think the information's there, the critics are there if you want that kind of guidance. But in the end, it's a drink, and it's about taste, and it's about enjoyment, and you really should follow your own palate. There's no replacement for that, and it's not cool to just follow what Parker rates 90 and above all the time. You really have to enjoy it. It's a very personal thing, wine, just like the food you eat.
The language of wine
yes.
is something that I find really funny. What was it? This
yes.
tastes like Nev Campbell wearing latex?
Latex, yeah.
Like,
I know. Yeah,
I like Nev Campbell, but...
Yeah, and have you ever sniffed her in latex? That's the other thing. It's just not relevant to our life experience if you start talking about wine like that. There's a lot of schools of wine writing out there, and that, the one you're alluding to, is part of Wine X, which was originally aimed at Gen X, although all the Gen Xers are getting middle-aged themselves. But it was talking about wine in a funky way with pop cultural references, and hoping by doing that to make it more accessible and fun and that sort of thing. I think wine language has to hit somewhere in the middle in terms of being practical and having that element of fun, and getting away from the pretension and the snobbery. But people have to be able to relate to what you're saying.
There's a lot of sex in this book. I don't know how else to put it, but I just want,
Sensuality, no.
yeah, that's another sex reference. Maybe it's just me. So I went, took a cold shower, came back to the book. It's like, no, there's a lot of sex in this book. So I just I need to know about this one.
I'm bolder on the page than I am in person. I think wine is very sensual, sexual, if you will. It touches all the senses. And another hang-up, perhaps, along with the one, don't talk about wine as though it has alcohol. Don't talk about wine as though it excites and moves you. And that you can use description that is very sensual or sexual to describe what it is you're feeling. And that's what it does for me.
The book is Red, White, and Drunk All Over, a wine-soaked journey from grape to glass. I've been speaking with the author, Natalie MacLean, and you can go to nataliemaclean.com, and you've got a great newsletter that's like free?
Yes, I've got a free e-newsletter, and I send out my wine picks and tips and that sort of thing, and there's lots of information about the book there, too.
And Red, White, and Drunk All Over is published by Doubleday Canada.